Get the old rust pump up.
Yep. You got to get that going.
You can't not do the rust pump up.
You can't not.
It's a double negative.
Yeah. So you can not. Anyways.
No, you have to. You cannot not.
I'm gonna hit that S.
You're listening to Thunderheads, a podcast for Thunder fans by Thunder fans.
Welcome to Thunderhead's midweek podcast. Brandon and Rob are both out, so today I'm joined by the Thunder Tie himself, Mr. Justin Wright.
Why, you stuck up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder.
Ah, Star Wars.
Yeah.
I got it.
Easy.
That's another one for my my scoreboard.
They struck back.
They did strike back. I guess I should have named the episode. That's my bad.
You could name the character.
Yeah. Han Solo. Yes? No.
Oh.
Did I fuck up? Oh, I ruined everything.
Princess Leia said it to Han Solo.
Well, I was close enough.
R.I.P. Carrie.
All right. And the leader of the mob, Sir Jacob Niven.
Hello, hello.
All right. So, guys, things are looking much better for the Thunder this month. They are on a 6 straight win streak. That's pretty good.
It's
And
more than 2.
It's more than 2, more than the 4 they had, you know. They looked completely in control of most of last night's game, most of it. They won 124-107 over the Raptors.
That's the highest point total of the year? 124?
I want to say
I believe
it
so.
feels like it because
I
I
believe
don't
so.
think they had been in a third quarter with 100 points
Yep.
yet this year. So that was pretty big. Okay, the OK4, I'm changing it.
Yeah, it's not
So
the
the
OK3
OK4.
anymore. It's the OK4.
They combined for 99 points last night, which was pretty sweet. And they all shot at or above 50%, which
Yes.
is very nice.
That's awesome.
So Jacob, do you think this team has officially figured out their identity?
Well, a lot of us have been talking about this like proverbial corner that they have to turn. If they're not around the corner, they're in. They're 3/4 of the way there.
Yeah.
They're getting it put together, and some of it was just as simple as making shots, but just the energy, the chemistry, the things clicking. It's palpable. You can see it, like you can feel it. You know,
Right.
And things aren't so herky jerky anymore. It's a lot more fluid. It's a lot more fun. Like you can just watch them, and they look like they're having a blast out there.
Yeah, Russ is
You know?
smiling on the court again. That's been nice to see. I saw last night, I guess Melo went up to Cage after he had said the mouse in the house thing, and he was just like, say it again. So he's
also-
kind of having a little bit more, he's a little more loose.
Yeah,
out there,
I also
so
heard
it's-
that Melo was trying to check back in late in the game yesterday, and he was running over to check in, trying to get the hoodie off, and he was yelling at the ref, "Hold up, baby, hold up!" trying to get his hoodie
That's
off.
awesome.
It's kind of the point where it just looks fun, and you know, I had talked about this earlier in the year. Just they look so like they were trying to force themselves into like playing really well and playing together, and it wasn't working, and all of a sudden like you're playing the best team in the Western Conference and the best team in the Eastern Conference back-to-back games.
Right.
And now, you know, they didn't go out and dominate the Rockets, but no one's going
That was
out
a
and
great game,
dominating
though.
the Rockets.
It was a
but
really good
they
game.
played well. They did the things that they needed to get the win.
And
then
they out-executed down the stretch, which I think was huge.
Which is-
it was what the last minute and a half the Rockets didn't even score.
Yeah. The defense in that minute and a half.
That's it. That they're forcing turnovers. They're getting people in bad spots. I mean, James Harden, for as great as his stat line looked, and that's kind of the magic of Dre. He can have a great stat line. That doesn't matter. He had to work so damn hard for every
Right.
single point that he got, and half of those come at the free throw line. And what the fuck ever, you're not going to get James Harden away from the free throw line to begin with. So
Yeah, at one point
it's been amazing.
I think he was like 2 for 11 or something at one point, and
He finished
Oh.
7 of 18, made 7 field goals, and had 29 points,
wow.
which is just complete horseshit.
Yeah, well, that's
That
James
guy
Harden for
bitched
you.
about not getting calls. He complained in a post-game press
After-
conference about not getting calls in a game he shot 16 free throws. You know,
which
like,
is hilarious. And also, I don't know if you guys saw this. I was at the Christmas Day game, and at kind of down that stretch, at one point he grabbed Dre and like pulled
pulled
him
him down.
down.
Yeah, I saw that.
I didn't know if it was on TV or not, but it was ridiculous, and everybody freaked out in the arena.
Yeah.
But
And it was under 2 minutes, so that would
Right.
like if you call that foul, Dre doesn't have to shoot those free throws.
Russ
You
is
could
taking
pick,
them.
yeah, you could pick someone. So,
So,
that's
still
an
50%.
egregious no call. It's better than rolling the dice with Dre, which we can should we talk about
Let's-
Dre at
let's-
this
You just want
point?
to jump
I
right
mean,
into it?
Like it's
Some people forgot about Dre, but
Hackett Dre is coming back, and that makes me really nervous. Like I love the confidence that Russ and his teammates are showing in Dre. Like especially after Dre misses that one and Russ walks up to him just clapping like, "You got this,
no,
dude."
that was awesome. He kind of got the crowd into it
Yeah,
and everything.
like the leadership aspect of that was really cool.
Yeah, I mean the Rockets used it, the Raptors used it a little bit. Hackett Dre is coming back,
He
and
has shot
that's
50% from it, which is better than you'd expect.
True, but you still don't want a
But
50% free
it's
throw
not
shooter
great.
at the
Yeah.
line right there. Is there? I mean, you have to have Dre out there for most of the game, and
Yeah.
obviously under 2 minutes you don't have to worry about it anymore. But are we getting to a point where teams are going to start using this more and more, and it's going to become a liability to have Andre Robertson out there on the floor when you need him for the defense?
I think that's kind of a catch-22. Like you said, under 2 minutes, you're fine.
right.
Against Houston, they put Houston back in, if I
Right, yeah,
believe
yeah.
correctly, and let him play, and he did fine. And if teams like the Raptors want to start doing hack a Dre in the third quarter, all they're doing is racking up team fouls quicker. So now if the Thunder take Dre off the floor, well, Russell Westbrook and Paul George and Steven Adams are just going to get downhill, and now they're in the bonus for the next 4 to 5 minutes of the game. And
Right.
Good fucking luck.
You can go ahead, make us take our best defender off the court, and we're just going to murder you at the free throw line with those three.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, no, and with the way Russ has been attacking lately too, I think that definitely helps. So you put Russ at the line right now. I'm not as worried about Russ at the free throw line as I was, early December or even back
Right,
in
no,
November.
it's gotten a lot better.
It's that one breath. That's just the
Yeah, it's starting to pay off.
It's going in.
Honestly, I think a big part of it is the mental aspect of him just kind of chilling out. It's kind of what we talked about before. He's been so in his head this year, and now he's kind of come back around. But back to Dre though, with the Hacker Robertson stuff, yeah, I mean it kind of sucks having to pull him for those games, especially in games where he's locking down DeMar DeRozan and he's locking down Harden. Like he's so crucial to us for that reason. And it would be nice if he would start to calm down and kind of be able to hit some free throws here or there. So because if you do that, people stop hacking you, right?
Yeah.
Like that's
Right.
it's going to go
Yeah,
away.
once they hit a certain percentage,
Not-
they got to quit.
Not that I have any faith in him to be able to hit those, but it'd be nice.
Now, speaking of, though, real quick, having him guard DeMar DeRozan, DeMar 4 of 16.
Right.
And then, like I mentioned earlier, Harden was 7 of 18.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
I mean, Dre just putting the shackles on dudes.
Yeah, I mean, his defense has been unbelievable. In that Rockets game, he had two of the most amazing steal, lead passes
Yeah.
I've ever seen in my life. One of them, he was jumping and spinning out of bounds while I threw it down court to Russ. And those are just incredible plays. Like, he turns defense into offense better than anybody I have seen in the league, hands down.
I agree. And so we opened up with you asking, have they found it? Have they turned that corner? And I think a lot of us would argue, yes, the 6-game win streak with wins against Toronto and Houston, yes, they've probably turned it. I think Dre is a huge reason because of that. I got a couple interesting stats here. In this 6-game win streak, Dre is shooting 65% from the floor.
Right.
Okay, 17 of 26 in the past 6 games. Do you guys know how many threes he shot in the 6-game win streak?
I actually do,
0.
because I was going to bring that up.
0. Yep.
solid 0.
All he's been doing is screening, rolling, catching a pass, and reversing to the other side of the court, or cutting. And he's especially cutting that baseline,
Right.
just nonstop. So when Rush drives, I saw a video today of this, and it's perfect, exactly what Dre's doing. They were trying to hide Serge Ibaka on Dre.
Right.
So when Russ drives to the hoop, Ibaka rotates over to protect the rim, and then Dre cuts down the baseline, and he sits right there on the baseline, right on the low block, catches, and then that layup over his head.
Right.
Simple stuff, but it makes the defense – basically the defense is eventually going to have to respect that, right? And they're going to have to stick to Dre.
Right.
If not, he's going to get wide open 2-footers all game. And then so when the defense sticks to Dre, that's one less guy in the lane when Russ goes to the hoop. And if he beats his man, it's over.
I think the game that it really started to click for him in this offense, and obviously, within the last 6, it looks like it's clicking for everyone, but specifically for Dre, was going back to that Sixers game, that triple overtime game where he
Right.
got those same passes that you saw on Monday against the Rockets and you saw last night
That
against
same
the.
little layup.
It's that he's just standing there right on the block, like
He won the
hey,
game
by
on
the
that
way,
play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's had two game winners,
Yeah,
basically.
should have won the first time, but let's not call a foul. But yeah, he's finding himself in that offense where he can just stand there on the block, like I'm just going to be open, and he's making those layups. He's confident around the rim, and that confidence is really pervasive in his game, and hopefully it bleeds over a little bit. But he feeds so much off of his defense, and his defense has always been there. It's starting to bleed into like I know where I need to be in this offense, and now I'm confident enough to do it at a high level.
Right. And on that very point that you just made with that Sixers game, he missed that first layup, right? Where he did get hacked by Embiid.
It's hard
Hard.
to make a
Yeah.
layup when you get slapped in the hands.
But the cool thing about it, and I think on the whole confidence thing that you're talking about, and I think they've mentioned this in post games a couple times, is that Russ trusted him to go right back to him, the same exact thing, when the game's on the line. And that has to be huge for a guy like that, like where you're mostly just defensive and then your star point guard tosses you the ball at a pivotal moment like that. That's like it's a huge
Leadership, man.
deal. Yeah.
I think that's leadership from Russ.
Well, and on your point of Fred Katz wrote a great article about how they've been using Russ or Robertson, like unlike they had in past seasons, like even with that Western Conference Finals where they had used him kind of as a 4.
Yep.
And kind of what it was going back to your point that you were making, where they're bringing him out on screens, kind of at the top of the key. They're moving him around. He's been involved in a lot of ball movement, which has been really nice. But you said he only has taken 0 threes during the 6-game stretch. He's actually only taken 5 threes during the 11-3 December that they've been on, according to Katz's article. And he had taken 28 during the games preceding that. So
That's huge.
it's kind of great.
It's weird. We always talk about, in the NBA, it's like every position is evolving. It's technically positionless basketball. You go back to Magic Johnson, and it was the point forward, and so you've got this mashing of a 4 and a 1, and you've got the mashing of a 2 and a 3 with guys like Kevin Durant, 2, 3,
Right.
4 with LeBron James. You've got so many positions that become so muddled into each other that it's hard to really pick out. Dre's finding this way to become kind of a 5 and a 4 mixed with a 2.
Yeah,
It's
very
the way
strange.
he's not going to be great around the basket, but he's like a stretch 4 and a 2 playing
That can't
around
stretch
the
very
rim like
well.
a 5. Yeah, it's so weird what Dre's becoming in this NBA because you don't see anyone else doing it.
Yeah.
Because there's not a whole lot of guys that just can't shoot unless you're 7 feet tall.
Yeah. Like the only other person I can think of that's like Andre Robertson is Josh Eustace, which he's not quite, and he can shoot a little better, obviously.
Yeah,
but
a lot better.
But still, he's got like that same build, and he's very defensive minded.
Is this the perfect year for Josh to actually get minutes? Because he's finally he's evolved into that role, that kind of backup Dre role where he's mostly a defensive specialist, but we don't have to have him as just the defensive guy because we've also got Paul George.
Right.
So and he's been really confident on offense. He's cutting the basket really well. He's making some monster dunks. Was this finally the perfect year to bring out Josh Eustace from stashing him away in Oklahoma City or with the Oklahoma City Blue and the Tulsa 66ers before? This has got to be the perfect situation for Josh Eustace, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry, you go. You.
I think their plan has worked out beautifully for him, right? Like this was the plan all along for him. They sent him down to the Blue. He was kind of a draft and stash, the first one that was a domestic drafting stash. So it's kind of nice to see that like they stuck with him, and it always kind of seemed like, man, they're just going to end up getting rid of this kid, and I feel kind of bad for him. But it's really amazing to see how much he's progressed, and he really has like kind of flourished into a pretty solid role player. It seems like.
Definitely.
And hopefully it keeps going. But
I kind of wish they would have given him a shot last year in the year that, nothing really went right. But no, I think he's been doing really well. I like that you brought up Josh. 6-game win streak. He's averaging 17 minutes a game. I think Josh can shoot the ball, especially from the left side. He can shoot the ball from the left side really well.
Yeah.
He can defend multiple positions. I think he moves his feet well. I think
Blocks
he's
really well.
especially a good like weak side shot blocker. He
Right.
had one last night. I
Oh,
can't remember
dude.
who was on,
I
but just
can't
pinned
either.
it on the glass and like bounced it off.
It's so nice.
And it's going to escape me now. I can't remember which game it was. I think it was against the Hawks where he had 2 near poster dunks. One was at the end, I think the first quarter, and the other was in like the fourth quarter, where he just rose up and just tried to end somebody's career. And, I think that's a really good sign from him because it shows comfortability.
Yeah.
Like dudes aren't trying to put one on somebody's head when they're not comfortable in their situation. And I think that's a good sign of his comfortability. I really like what he's been offering. And it kind of makes me worried that they didn't pick up that option now, because I think next year he might get a pretty decent deal. And just, pardon me, in the back of my head, all I can think of is Josh Huestis is going to average like 10 and 5 for the Spurs next year. That's all
That'd
I
be
can
so
think
weird.
of.
Oh, that just made me really sad.
Yeah, wait. Well, that brought it down a notch. No,
Sorry.
I'm just kidding. But I don't know if he's gonna get that much money to leave. I mean, he's looking nice, but it's not like he's an incredible player or anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like
he's one
to
of those
everyone else.
guys.
I think the one thing, sorry, I don't cut
No,
you off, but
no, you're
I
good.
think the one thing that the Thunder do have going for them next year and trying to retain Josh is there's going to be very, very little cap space in the
Right.
summer of 2018. Very little cap
you
space.
have that, and kind of what I was saying before. I think they've built this kind of foundation of loyalty with him. I would think just through the way that they've trusted this plan out with him for a while.
Yeah.
And they could have gotten rid of him a long time
Yeah.
ago, and so you'd think he would take a deal to stay around.
All we've done is love you. Why can't you love us back?
Don't leave us, Josh.
So,
Actually, that's all about PG. this year.
the scary thing is, like, before I want to turn this a little bit, but the scary thing, like, you bring up the Spurs, like Josh Huestis is one of those guys where he would be perfect in a really good system. The Spurs seem to have
Oh,
one of
yeah.
those
The
perfect
perfect
systems.
system
Yeah,
for him.
exactly.
They do
Well,
have
shit,
the perfect system.
The Spurs have a perfect system for pretty much everyone that's not a
Yeah.
complete superstar player, anyways.
Yeah.
But that is what it is. But speaking of Huestis, looking at him with the bench, and then looking at Abrinas, because Abrinas is he's been struggling. But you look at, so you've got Abrinas, Felton, PG, Grant, and Patterson. They played quite a few minutes lately. Minus 26.3 points per 100 possessions. Huestis, instead of Abrinas, negative 52.6 per 100 possessions. They
That's
both
crazy.
look good in their own right. Like when Abrinas is playing really well, he looks really good. When Huestis is playing really well, he looks really good.
I think
But
they look
clearly
good
something is-
in different ways, though.
Oh, yeah.
It's clearly not working on the bench, and especially with Paul George with that bench unit, things just aren't working with the bench. What the hell is going on?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
last night, what was it? The bench outscored Toronto's bench outscored our bench 24-4
Yeah.
in the first half,
Yeah.
which is just insane.
Yeah, but part of that is due to CJ Miles coming in with his damn hair on fire. That dude couldn't miss a shot.
Well,
man.
yeah, but I mean, also that goes back when Abrinas came in with that bench, he fouled 3-4 people right off the bat. Like,
Yep.
and
And
I feel like he couldn't guard a guy without fouling them at all.
The thing with Abrinas last night really worried me because previously I've always said, Abrinas isn't a great athlete. He's not like going to be able to keep up with guys off the dribble a whole bunch, but he's a smart defender. He knows where to rotate. He knows when to help, when to come back. He knows where to funnel guys to. Last night it looked like he never played a game of basketball in his life. I mean, he let Serge Ibaka just run right past him for a dunk on like a fast break, like
I mean, he's a
run
lot
out.
smaller. I would have let
But
him run
like,
too.
I mean, he
if
didn't
I
even
was
stay
him.
with him. I mean, he just stayed at half court. There was so many possessions last night where I was just like, what is Alex doing? Like,
Right.
it's like he's never played basketball.
Like there was
before.
one where he got his arm caught in a guy, and it was just like, what? Why did you do that?
He's the new Anthony Morrow on this team, right?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. And I want to give it up to Matty Livingstone from YouTube. He asked what our opinions are on Abrinas, so that's kind of what we're giving you.
Yeah.
I have some more stats. Can I throw out some stats for you guys?
Please
for Abrinas?
do. Yes.
Okay, past 3 games, he's played a total of 24 minutes.
Man.
Okay, total of
not
24
very
minutes in
much.
3 games.
Well, because he
Uh,
had 2 minutes in the Rockets game. Like,
Yeah.
He was out there. I think was it when Dre went to the locker room with his hand?
I think so.
Because they
I
just
think
like
so.
kind of tossed him out there, and then he was like, nah.
Majority of those minutes came against Utah because I think he only played 8 last night against the
Yeah.
Raptors, Toronto Raptors. But 24 minutes total in the past 3 games. He's shot the ball 3 total times in those 24 minutes.
Whoa.
That's an
That's
average
not
of one.
much.
Yeah, that's an average of 1 shot per 8 minutes. Abrines is a specialist. He is a guy that, per Russell Westbrook verbatim, can shoot the piss out of the ball.
He did say that. Yeah.
You want Abrines when he's out there. You want him getting catch and shoot threes. And when he plays for 24 minutes and he only gets 3 shots, either A, he's playing timid, or B, they're not finding the right rhythm with him. But whatever it is, like, I think his defense is going to be even more glaring when that's all you see, because he never contributes offensively, you know? And I think he's the kind of guy that's got to catch and shoot the ball. He's not going to create his own shot. So is that more on Abrines? Is that on the playmakers of the bench, you know? Like, I think it's a little bit of a gray area, but I don't see how you can play Abrines when he's only getting 1 shot every 8 minutes.
So, you know, we can definitely touch on, is it the bench's fault? But, you know, with Abrines, you go back to that Golden State game. He played 6 minutes. And that was the best win of the season up until we just beat the crap. Like, we didn't beat the crap out of the Rockets, but
we beat
the Rockets
on Christmas.
So, yeah,
It was a Christmas miracle.
Merry Christmas. But he doesn't play a whole lot against the Rockets. They win that game. Doesn't play a whole lot against Golden State. They win that game. Those are the two
When
best
he did
teams.
play in the Raptors game,
It was
we
bad.
We were losing during that moment, and then whenever he went out, we were better.
Was awful
right?
in the Raptors game.
That's like a simple eye test, not looking at much data, but
In a game, the Raptors game, where the Thunder won 107-124, Alex Abrines was a minus 19.
So best
In
NBA
6
mixes
minutes.
of all time asked us, will they take Abrines out of the rotation again? So
I
you guys think he's going back in the doghouse for Billy?
I think he might not see minutes for a while. I
Not
think they'll-
only-
Sorry,
not,
go ahead.
Not only that, but is he the biggest trade piece right now?
I don't know if he's the biggest trade piece right now, but I think he is definitely a candidate.
Do people want him?
I think
Yeah.
I think teams in the NBA would
Probably
be on board
because he's a shooter.
getting a young shooter.
Yeah, I mean I think if he could just play defense a bit better, he wouldn't be so bad to keep on the floor. Like, it's just when he's out there, I don't think Billy had a choice last night. You can't leave that guy out there.
Yep.
He's getting torched by everyone. You know?
I agree.
So,
And
like,
so that makes it maybe even more of a candidate to get traded, because what if Billy can package him, or not Billy, sorry, Sam Presti can package him with somebody else
Right.
in order to get a kind of like a wing player off the bench who can contribute and who can stay out on the floor and guard a little bit, play some defense, and hit an open three.
What if this just isn't the situation for Alex Abrines?
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
maybe
It's
this
definitely a possibility.
this was a guy that Sam Presti drafted, and obviously, you know, stayed in Europe a little bit longer than he would have liked to, but he drafted him with the idea that Kevin Durant was on this team.
yeah.
And Kevin Durant's not on this team. If you bring in Alex Abrines and you still got that asshole out there in California on this team, like, you've just got that random spot up shooter, that's perfect. With this team, with the way this roster is built right now, and even going into last year, I don't know that it necessarily works the way that Sam Presti originally thought that it was going to work when he drafted him. And
Yeah,
so
that's a great point.
at that point, it's like, do you stick it out thinking that somehow it's going to work, thinking that somehow with, you know, Paul George with the bench is obviously not working very well, but, you know, you stick Melo there, whoever you stick there, you don't really have a great playmaker, and Alex Abrines needs a playmaker. So are you going to stick it out and say, we can find some sort of playmaker, or we can make Paul George be one with the bench? Or do you just have to cut your losses and say,
Just move him.
we can move him, we
It's a
can
legit
find
question.
someone that will fit the role that we need with this roster, and just keep going all in, assuming that Paul George is going to be here, and you know that Melo is going to pick up that option.
Yep. So here's a fun question then for you guys. Out of Abrines and Ferguson, if you have to choose to keep one at the deadline, the other is gone, which one do you want on this team?
I think I'm keeping Ferguson,
That's- yeah.
honestly. I really like the way that kid tries. Like,
You're
his-
keeping him solely for your hopeful upside rather than
Yeah.
really what you've seen so far?
yeah, I mean, because I think what we've seen out of Abrines, like, obviously he can get hot, but he is pretty streaky when it comes to shooting, and maybe that'll improve over the years, and in the right system, you know, getting the right touches at the right time. But with Ferguson, I feel like he can shoot. His shot can improve and get better. He's got a great drive and dunk on somebody's face game, which
Yeah,
is
that's
nice
true.
to have. And his defense is super tenacious, and I love
As,
I love
what,
just his effort.
19-year-old,
Yeah,
20-year-old?
as a 19-year-old. So the
There's
upside
upside.
there to me is like he's more versatile to me.
with a body that's not anywhere near NBA ready.
Yeah. So
But-
he'll keep growing into that. Hopefully it doesn't just stay as a toothpick, but
Right, but I would say that NBA body. Now, granted, if I just looked at the two of them, I would definitely say that
Yeah.
Abrines has the better NBA
Yeah.
body. But then watching both of them play, Ferguson has the better NBA body.
Yeah.
And so I'll put it this way, because I'm definitely on the Ferguson train. Regarding your question of Abrines versus Ferguson at the deadline. What I like more is I think you can get more for Abrines
yeah.
and having Ferguson develop than you can trading Ferguson and hoping that Abrines develops.
Right.
I think
So
your
you think
upside
the
is.
net value is
I think the net value is much higher on the by keeping the Ferguson side.
Yeah, it's like trading a guy who's playing in the G League tonight or
and I
whatever
think
they're-
Right.
I think on the open market right now, Alex Abrines probably fetches you a little bit larger haul than
Yeah.
Terrence Ferguson would.
For sure. Yeah. So we kind of touched on the offense quite a bit. They were number one in the NBA during this 6-game stretch. So they've had a net rating of 14, which is 6.5 points better than anyone else during the stretch. So that's pretty sweet.
That's awesome.
So is this, like, also our offensive rebounding has been incredible. So is this all because the OK3/4 have been making shots finally, or is there something else to this offense? Is it the Robertson effect? That
I
we
think
talked
it's a
about?
bunch of stuff. Another stat I wanted to throw out there. I've got a lot of stats today. The past two
Stat man.
games against the Raptors and against the Rockets. Interestingly enough, the starting five in both of those games shot 61% from the field, which is pretty incredible.
Damn.
And they shot about 54% as a team. And against the Rockets, they shot 44% from three. Against the Raptors, 36% from three. But that starting five, 61% from the field, is really, really big. And I think a big chunk of it is, the big three have started making shots. They've put Robertson in more advantageous situations to make the defense react.
Right.
And that Russ mid-range elbow J is dropping. And when that thing's dropping, it makes the defense close out a little bit, which opens up that back line on the baseline
Right.
for Robertson to cut.
Yeah.
For Adams to roll to the hoop.
It's going to sound really cliche for me, but I think you're seeing this team really gel. Is it part of the reasons why they're making shots? Is because they're getting to spaces on the floor that they feel comfortable in making those shots. Is that you've got the rotation has become so fluid on offense, is that Paul George isn't all herky-jerky trying to find a spot in a Russell Westbrook-led offense. Melo is hitting he's finding himself on those trailer threes or just open at the three-point line. He's hitting those shots because he's seen a volume of it. He can make that shot now. He's still getting his weird, turnaround 18-footer that he's hit the shit out of.
Well, like last
against
night against the
Raptors.
Raptors, he had so many ISO 2s that were like, it was like, yeah, that's why this works.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because he's so good at it. Like,
A few things on that one as well. Sorry, do you have a point to go before?
No, I was just saying, I think the flow of the offense, now that everyone's comfortable, they finally gelled, is that you're getting guys to the right spots to make these shots. And so it's not just that they are making the shots, is that they're comfortable enough within the offense to get to the spots to make the
I
shots.
100% agree.
Exactly. And I think maybe Melo is the one that's got to that point the most. I find it really interesting that Carmelo Anthony, this reputation of this ball stopper is the one promoting the ball movement and the extra passes. In the 6-game win streak, Melo is half of his shots are coming from three.
Yeah.
Half of his shots each game are coming from three, and he's hitting 40% of those. That is exactly what you want from Carmelo Anthony at this time.
absolutely.
You want Carmelo being a catch and shoot 3-point shooter. And then I feel like a lot of his little mid-range 18-foot post-up ISOs are coming in advantageous situations. Whenever Russ and Melo would run pick and roll last night against Toronto, if Toronto didn't switch it, Melo would pop out to three and Russ would kick it back for Melo for a three. If Toronto did switch that screen, that meant Kyle Lowry was on Carmelo Anthony and
Mel's in the house.
Yeah, Melo's ass is in Lowry's chest.
Yeah.
He just posts his ass up, takes it, 2 power dribbles, turnaround jumper.
I like how he wiggled his ass into him a little bit. That a good impression.
Dude, seriously though, like Melo's ass was in that dude's
No, yeah.
chest.
Sometimes you got to fart on a guy's sternum. Sometimes.
It kind
Sometimes.
of reminded me of, remember in that Western Conference Finals when the Thunder were dead set on switching Derek Fisher onto Tim Duncan
Yes.
over and over and over again?
Yes, it was exactly that situation. But no, I agree with you 100%. Like they've been using this, like his ISO skill in the correct times now instead of just starting with it.
And
right?
it feels like he's
It's-
more willing to pass out of those ISOs
Yeah,
too.
for sure. He passed out of it to PG for a 3 last night.
On a great looking
and
pass.
yeah,
just
it was-
fired it across the court.
Very nice. But yeah, I mean, they're not starting out like going, "Hey, you take the ball. We're all just going to stand here." They're starting with action, right? It's player movement and ball movement, kind of like what we've been talking. Everybody's been talking about.
And it's finding the advantageous ISO
Yeah.
for him. It's getting him on somebody that he can take, and if the help comes, he's willing to kick it back out now.
Right. And I mean, there's even been a couple times he just ends up on the same guy and just pops it in their face, which he can do
Yeah,
because he's good at making
because
difficult
he's
shots.
Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah.
And
And
there's
it's not always going to go in, but that's just kind of the thing you take with him. It's
There's
like,
sometimes I watch him in that mid post though, specifically Christmas Day whenever PJ Tucker was guarding him. There was a possession where he got it kind of on the baseline about 15 feet out, and he faced up and like jabbed right
Oh,
and ripped left. And I mean,
yes.
he had PJ Tucker
He was
dancing
on
like a
his
damn
heels.
stripper.
Yeah.
He was just all over the place, and then Melo just rose up over the top.
Yeah.
And my favorite part of that was, did you guys see Melo's son was at that Christmas Day game just gassing his dad up?
Oh, I didn't see that. at
Oh
all.
man, he
No.
was
Oh,
on.
dude,
He
that was
was
awesome.
sitting down on the baseline, and every time they came down the court, Melo's son was up running the baseline, like just talking and
Oh,
yelling at
that's
his dad
awesome.
and stuff, just gassing him up. It was
That's
awesome.
so cool.
So look, Melo's great and all, but if you were asked who was going to be the biggest addition to this team at the start of the year, it's Paul George, right?
Oh, yeah.
Paul George over the last 2 games, both wins.
Uh-huh.
Surprise. 57 points. And he's shot 11 of 17 from 3. That's 65%. Paul
Damn.
George finally getting back into this.
That dude has been on fire.
Being a part of this team again. Where that
Right.
has
That
been
had gone away.
so much of a big addition
Yeah.
just to this win streak and finally looking like the team that we thought we were getting
Right.
when this season started.
Dude,
When
he moves so well off the ball, coming off like stagger
Finally.
screens and pin downs
Yeah, I
and
was
running
watch-
the baseline.
I was watching the replay of like his highlights last night, and my God, that dude just gets around screens, and like no one notices him somehow.
Yep.
He's just so smooth. He's just like sliding out there, but he just looks so much more comfortable. It's
Yeah.
back to what you were talking about. He looks so much more comfortable with this team than he has in the past, and it's just amazing how much like how that time has helped. Like
Yep.
just everybody talked about it's going to take some time. And it's weird how you mentioned this before the podcast started. We all said, if by Christmas they're doing better, then we'll be fine.
So speaking of Paul George, and huge shout out to my my buddy at OKC Mouthpiece, best friend. Paul George said it would take 20 games. That
Oh, yeah.
20th game was a loss to Orlando. I'm sure you guys regrettably remember
that one.
Since then, Thunder 12-3.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing great basketball. They finally look like the team that we thought they were going to be. So it clearly took about that amount of time. We all said, it's going to take till Christmas, trade deadline,
Yeah.
Whatever. We all had this thing. Paul George goes straight out there and says it's going to take 20 games. Sure enough, 20 games in, yeah, they sucked, and then win 12 of 15 after that.
Right.
But fire Billy Donovan.
So we've been asking like what changed? Like how did they get to this point now? And I think kind of the underlying theme of everything that we've talked about is just there's a comfortability within that offense. The defense has been there. There's now a comfortability within that offense.
But
there's more defined roles. And with that comfort, people have started to make shots.
Right.
Shots that they can make. I think a big frustration for me, at least early on in the season, was when you put 3 guys like Russ, Melo, and PG together, the combined star power is supposed to make the game easier on everybody because you'll get better looks, easier shots. And that wasn't happening. And it felt like everything was so forced. And
Yeah.
I think now we're really starting to see things are coming easy for this team. I mean, open jumpers, open cutting lanes, et cetera, that I think the comfortability is finally there,
Well-
and they're finally feeding off one another instead of being 3 individuals out there trying to run their own game.
Right. And I think we kind of touched on Russ's jumper falling a little bit. But last night after the game, Melo mentioned we need that Russ, not the guy who's trying to defer to us. They want him to be last year's Russell Westbrook, not completely last year's Russ, but
But stay aggressive.
Beastbrook, basically.
Yeah.
They want him to drive the lane. They want him to dunk on people's faces. And we were talking earlier about Robertson's non-3-point taking. Russell has been so much better
he's
at
purged
shot
them out.
selection.
Yeah.
He's only taken a couple per game like the last
Yeah,
several
and I
games.
love that
I
you
don't have
brought
the stat
that
in
up.
front of me, but
Because I feel like not only that, but I just feel like Russ has been super engaged.
Very.
Engaged offensively,
Defensively,
defensively,
he's
and on
been
the
incredible.
bench. Yeah,
what
this
did Lowry shoot last night?
That's a good question. Let me look that up for you.
Because I don't think it was very good.
Kyle Lowry was
3 of 10.
3 of 10.
3 of
2
10.
of 7 from
Yeah.
3.
Usually Lowry torches us, I
yeah.
feel like. And last night, he didn't at all.
I would argue that this might be the best 6-game regular season stretch of defense Russell Westbrook's played in his career.
I might have to agree with you.
Maybe
Maybe not going back to college, but
Yeah, getting
NBA,
getting over screens, getting through, communicating, giving second and third efforts,
Right.
Rotating over, and even
and
from
you
the
see
bench.
him bringing help
Yeah.
at the basket. Like, that's stuff you don't usually see from him.
Exactly. Even from the bench, his engagement and trying to get people lined up, wake up, trying to get the team going from the bench just has been super encouraging. It's like Russell Westbrook has finally kind of accepted, yes, I have a Hall of Famer Carmelo Anthony on my team, which I think even Russell Westbrook might have been a little, not starstruck, but deferred to Melo and wanted Melo to take over, which is a weird thing for Russ. And you have to be pretty special for Russell Westbrook to try to give up those reins.
Yeah, I mean,
But I
that
feel
kind of
like-
goes with what we had been talking about quite a bit of there's a lot of responsibility on Russ's shoulders to make this work, because everybody's always said no one wants to go play with Russ.
Yep.
Oh, KD left because they didn't want to play with Russ. Well, now you're seeing two people that are incredible basketball players thoroughly enjoy playing with him.
Yep. I feel like Russ has finally accepted the fact that this is his team.
Yeah.
And he's brought these two other guys
I agree.
along with him. I think at the beginning he was trying to let other guys have the team or say it's like a shared. I feel like now, leading by example, Russ has kind of accepted that the Thunder is his team, and it's like a ride or die situation with him.
Right.
So not just that, but looking at last year, looking at the beginning of this year, and then what's going on now, can we safely say, looking at just even look at his whole career, can we safely say that what we saw from Russell Westbrook last year and right now, that's the way that Russ should have been playing the entire time? Is it that like what we have is the true form of Russell Westbrook that makes his teammates better, himself better, and he should have never been deferring to any guy that plays in Golden State to begin with or doing anything else besides just being a battering ram towards the rim and still getting balls to his teammates and all this stuff.
Definitely. And I think we started to see that switch when Donovan came here.
We have Super Saiyan 4 Russell Westbrook now.
I don't know what that
we got
means because I
Super
don't
Saiyan
watch that
God,
shit.
Super
but,
Saiyan, Russell Westbrook.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of easy to say that now that
True.
you watch them having figured it out, right? So, but a lot of, I think I remember saying that I feel like it would be good for Russ to try to defer and try to get other people involved, because it's not something that, like, he got criticized for a lot,
Right.
was not doing that. So I think he had to kind of go through that period of like, will this work? Let's try this. And they've just been trying things here and there. Like, okay, maybe Russ, you try to just defer to these guys and we'll see what happens. It didn't work very well. Okay, go be you again. Awesome. This is way better. Do that more, right? So I think that's kind of the takeaway is they just had to have that time to do it. And it, like, yeah, it would have been cool if they would have just out of the gate figured that out, because we'd probably be in first place right now.
But that's not how the NBA
But we're
works.
in fifth.
Yeah. As
That's
far
not
as
bad.
Russ deferring, though, past 4 games, 13 assists, 11 assists, 10 assists, 15 assists.
Yeah.
I don't feel like he's
Well, he's not
deferring.
I think the
He's
ball
just
hog
gonna
thing
pl-
is
yeah.
not a thing anymore, right?
He's just
It
playing
shouldn't
his
be.
game,
But yeah, it was different before. Like he was giving the ball and just standing,
Yeah.
and now
Where now he's playmaking.
Yeah, now he's getting
know?
people the ball in the right spot, leading to assists.
Exactly.
more.
And I think, is it fair to say this team goes as Russell Westbrook goes? Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
Yeah.
More, or at least, is it
100%.
fair to say this team goes as Westbrook goes more so than any other player on this team?
Absolutely.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, like Adams, I think is a huge part of everything, but he was playing
dude.
really well all year.
I just want to
And
know
we were
where
still
the
losing.
Adams doesn't deserve that contract crowd is at. Just come out.
I think they're all
Come out of the woodwork and hit me up on Twitter because I just want to talk.
They're skulking in the shadows now.
Yeah, they're sad. Also, the same Fire Billy and Trade Mello and all Trade PG crowd are starting to leave. So that's a great question. Actually, we talked about like has this team found its identity? Are they going to go through another tough stretch at some point in the season, or are we kind of like
Yeah.
I
we're
think
just
they
going
could
to
go
mostly
through
win from here on out?
I think they could experience more rough stretches, but I think they've already hit rock bottom. I don't think they're going to get any deeper than what they've
hope
already
not.
got.
That was
'Cause-
rough, guys.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get any deeper because I think everything's kind of in place now, and now is just tweaking and adjusting here and there.
Like a lot of people were starting to freak the fuck out there for a bit, right?
Yeah,
Like
but
I'm kind of happy that's over, and I hope it is over.
But honestly, I do feel like they've turned the corner, and I feel like
do too.
I don't think, and this is stealing right out of Presti's book, but I don't think success is just strictly linear. I don't think it's just a straight right
That's
up.
a Prestiism if I've ever
Oh, yeah.
heard one.
There's going to be dips and ebbs and flows
Yeah,
in it.
that's how the things
but
work.
we can very clearly now see that this success chart is now very clearly flowing up.
Is that what that chart's called, or is that a Venn
Success-
diagram?
No, it's not a
What's
Venn
what's
diagram.
that chart with a whole bunch of dots and you look for the
That'd be
correlation?
a scatter plot.
A
There we
scatter
go.
plot. I feel like the Thunder's a scatter plot.
No, that should
That
be.
would be how it
I
would.
mean, if we were to go straight statistical, like that's how any NBA team or any like professional organization should be. It should be a scatter plot, but you should see a trend upwards.
I think
You
we
add the
should
best fit
just
line.
call everything Venn diagram.
We've gotten
still.
in the
No,
chart weeds yet again.
really, we should just call everything a scatter plot because you can do most things sports related on a scatter plot.
that's good.
But that's just me.
Were you going somewhere?
I
before
was
that?
I was
I thought
about,
you were about to say a thing.
No, I really was about to, but then we got on graphs and just I went full science mode and just completely lost it.
Yeah. So we've talked about Mello a lot, like a little bit so far, kind of in combination with the offense and everything. It does feel like he's really starting to accept the role that he's in. He's starting to figure out that he's kind of the third cog in the wheel, maybe fourth, if you think about it. Adams is a little more important, I think.
I think Paul George, Carmelo Anthony, and Steven Adams are interchangeable sized cogs that you just put in the machine at any different time.
When you need
But then
them.
you've got a giant one that is
That's
just Russell
mostly
Westbrook.
Russ. Yeah. So you guys, you feel like Melo's kind of fitting in now, finally, though, right?
Yeah, I
Like-
feel like Melo was kind of the first one to really buy into kind of what Billy was preaching and what the team needed to do. I feel like maybe Melo more than anybody else is kind of responsible for this kind of like resurgence of the offense. And I know that's kind of
that's a lukewarm take, but I like it.
yeah, no, but I mean it's just interesting because of the perspective that Melo has. You know, this idea that he's the ball stopper. Did I steal your point?
No, I was going to say I remembered what I was going to say earlier.
Oh, good.
but
Okay.
We can wait on that. What I was going to say about Melo is like it kind of makes sense that it's Melo though. Like you look at the situation that all three of the so-called big three, let's just say big four. Two of them
that's
came
what
from
it
the same situation, so we don't have to really worry about them. That's Russ and Steven. Paul George comes from a situation where he just wants something fresh, something new.
Yeah.
And like he's looking for a team that's going to win.
He wants to win.
Melo came out of one.
Just
like,
garbage.
I've mentioned this before. I'm a New York Rangers fan. Like I see the New York media react to the New York Rangers, so I can only imagine how like the New York Rangers are actually pretty damn good. So I can only imagine how they reacted to the Knicks being shit.
Right.
So that's a fucking caustic environment that you just don't want to be around. And so Melo got out of something, and he steps off the plane in Oklahoma City. And he kind of mentioned this in that question that he was asked about.
That
What
was
do
pretty
What do you
cool.
love so much about 2017 in Oklahoma, like in the NBA so far?
What was your favorite basketball thing in
Yeah.
2017?
And he was like just stepping out that plane and seeing like the fan reaction and everything. He literally stepped into a greener pasture.
Yeah.
And it was just
He really did.
And so it makes sense that he would just buy into Billy Donovan's system so completely, just be like, well, fuck it, it's better than anything
Yeah.
else that I've ever
And it was
played in."
literally a pasture too. You're
Yeah.
right. But yeah, PG was asked that same question, and he said joining the Oklahoma City
Yeah.
Thunder, which from both of those guys is really refreshing to hear, and it's just so nice. Like, I kind of mentioned this, I think, last podcast or the one before, about how everybody had talked about how this seemed like chemistry problems with OKC. Like, it's not going to work because they don't like playing together and all this stuff. And it clearly seems like these guys enjoy each other on and off the court. It just wasn't clicking before, and now you're kind of seeing that come around.
It's almost like they were trying too hard to figure out how to play with each other, and now it's just like, oh, let's just simplify things.
Yeah,
and
let's just
oh
play
wait,
basketball.
this is really fun.
Yeah.
That's more fun.
And it makes the teams. It makes it just so much more fun to watch when those guys are having fun.
Agreed.
You know, like, I don't know. One of my favorite things with this win streak, and it's just so random, but Russell bringing back out the too small sign. You know, whenever he hits a bucket on someone and he holds his hand down, saying they're too small, and now he started to like slap his hand.
His that's his and one thing where they
he's like he's saying they're too small, and then he slaps his hand to like resemble the foul. Yeah. Like I love that shit.
I really
dude.
like that a lot.
I just love that.
And speaking I saw Ray do it on the bench yesterday too. It was pretty cool.
Speaking of, how about Steven Adams showing some personality and some emotion last night, coming back on defense?
The little,
with the little like horns up, like devil horns, like rock on, with the scowl.
That dunk though.
Be careful with the thumb, by the way.
It means I love you. That's what he did though. I think he did that.
Texas thing. I just
Oh, no, you're good. You're good.
OU fan.
Yes. Okay, I got you. You guys want to play a game?
Let's play a game.
Let's play a game.
This is Mom's Minute.
Warning. This segment contains extreme amounts of nerdery. References may include, but are not limited to, sci-fi, fantasy, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, and could cause you to never have sex again.
Real quick, I gotta say, I bet that looks really funny on YouTube. Like, obviously you can hear it, but we play the sounder and we all just kind of like sit there like randomly.
Yes.
All right, so welcome back to the newest Mob's Minute. It's been a while. We haven't done one.
A minute.
We haven't done one. I'm glad we're back. I see what you did there. For this week's edition, we are talking Star Wars. Yes. First off, before we get into Mob's Minute, no spoilers, but I know both of you boys have watched the newest Star Wars movie, The Last Jedi.
I did.
Opinions. Spoiler-free opinions.
It's the best of the franchise. Don't at me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I need to see it a second time, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think it's one of the best.
Okay.
I'm not willing yet to say it's the best, but I thought it was a really incredible movie. And I liked how it was different than I expected, but that's all I'll say.
I need to see it again as well, but I would put it on par with The Force Awakens. I still like Rogue One better.
Very strange to me.
That's fair.
I'll let it go.
That's fair.
To add to that, just real quick, favorite Star Wars character? You got one?
That was hard.
I mean, it's got to be Luke Skywalker.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's easy.
Yeah.
Go Vader.
Going with the dark side. All right. Very nice.
Yeah, Vader or Darth Maul are my favorite people. And sadly for Darth Maul, he was in the worst movie of all time.
Although I will say fleetingly right now, Princess Leia still holds a very true and dear part of my heart just because, Carrie Fisher just died. And just seeing her in the movies, like, it just brings tears to my eyes. I miss her so much.
So I think I'd have to say my favorite is Cassian, the male lead from Rogue One, who's kind of like against everything and then kind of buys into the idea of the rebellion and doing something bigger than what he alone can do. I don't know.
It's a strange favorite of all those, but I'll let it go again.
Simple question for this week. What would the Thunder players, or just any NBA player, what would their job or their role be in the Star Wars universe? To get us started, I'll kick us off. My first one, I said Paul George would be a smuggler, kind of like Han Solo. To be a smuggler, you got to be able to steal shit.
Nice.
And Paul George leads the league in steals this year.
Yeah, he's pretty good at stealing shit.
He would definitely be a smuggler in the Star Wars universe.
I got a Kyle Singler one.
Oh, God.
Just to start it off with the Kyle Singler jokes. He's a stormtrooper because he's white and he can't hit shit. Notice they always miss their shots.
Okay, I'm going to jump in real quick again before you go, Justin. I had Robertson as a stormtrooper because his accuracy is awful.
Oh, that's good.
That makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to start this off the right way.
Okay.
I like it.
And going straight dark side.
Yes.
Kevin Durant. He's the lost fucking Jedi. So you're Anakin Skywalker, etc. Not gonna mention any characters from.
Yes.
that went dark and literally ruined everything.
Yep.
He really did.
I had KD on mine as well. I said he betrayed the good guys and joined the Empire / the First Order. He was too scared to forge his own path, so he had to join a bigger institution to make his dreams come true.
I didn't have Katie on mine because he doesn't matter to me at all.
Yeah. He's just a little bitch.
I did put Russell Westbrook as a gray Jedi. I don't know if that's canon or not, but basically if I have this correct, because I'm not super up to date, but basically they can use both sides of the Force because they're powerful as shit, and he does what he wants, right? He doesn't follow one order or the other. He just does what he wants.
I mean, we could get further into that, but you could
Let's
also
not.
make the argument that Luke Skywalker actually is a little bit gray, and you actually see it in color changes throughout the original trilogy of what they're what
That's
he
a good
wears,
point, though.
going from white to gray to black
yeah.
throughout the entirety of the 3 movies. Anyway, so keeping on my theme, Steve Kerr is Grand Moff Tarkin, the slimy piece of shit that was running the Death Star. Yeah, Steve Kerr. Oh, and I've got one more to complete this trilogy.
Golden State trilogy.
It's a trilogy of Golden State bullshit. Bob Myers is the overall Sith power. So you're
The Emperor.
Palpatine, you're Snoke, just orchestrating all of the evil that exists in the universe.
Very
like
nice.
it.
My next one, Steven Adams is a Wookiee.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
that's pretty good.
I don't have to say anything else.
I can't do it,
I
so I'm
can't
not
do
even
it.
going to try because those weren't the best.
No,
Hey,
man.
fuck
No
you, buddy.
offense, but
No, it's not
I
very
have Andre Robertson as a scavenger because he just does the dirty work, man. He
That's
just gets
good. I
there
like
and
that.
He does the trash work.
I like it. Yeah, I can fly with
That's
that.
what he's for.
So Carmelo Anthony, and I used a bunch of archetypes. I didn't want to use a whole bunch of characters, but so Carmelo Anthony, the badass flyboy, that doesn't give a fuck about anyone, but he totally does as a real team player at the end of the day.
Ooh,
Nice.
I like
That's
that.
perfect.
That's good. I have Mello as a bounty hunter because he can just hit his shots. You know?
I like it.
Nice. You guys have stolen all my other ones.
Oh no,
So
I'm so
done.
sorry.
I had the same Russ one. I had Russ as a Jedi.
Well, that's different.
Uses the Force because he always forces the issue on the court,
Nice.
and he's just a badass.
Nice. I had PG as a Jedi because he's just smooth and he's a good guy. I feel like. I was trying to find if there was just a fisherman, if there's just
a space
if
fisherman.
there's just a space fisherman out there somewhere. I
Just
don't know
with
if they
a,
have
with
those.
with a fishing pole lightsaber. Just,
Yeah.
Wow. Have you guys seen that
Meow.
video of Owen Wilson's
Yeah.
wow,
Wow.
just making the
Wow.
sounds of the
Wow.
I have.
lightsabers? Wow.
That is pretty good.
So Nick Collison is
good.
very clearly the wise old Jedi on the
Oh, hell
Jedi
yeah.
Council.
Of course he is. yeah.
Absolutely.
He's totally a Force ghost on this team.
Oh yeah.
Right? He's definitely a Force ghost.
Have you ever seen that movie, The Sixth Man, with the Wayans brothers,
I have
where his
not.
brother dies and he comes back to the court as a ghost and helps him dunk really badass and stuff?
No.
It's a super old movie, but that just made me think that's what Nick Collison is. He's kind of that guy, but except for he's not dead.
I mean, he kind of is.
kinda
Like
dead in a
he's in the twilight. Like honestly, at the end of this season, Nick Collison is just going to be standing there in his jersey, and just like Yoda, he's just going to disappear. Like his body will disappear, and his jersey will just hit the floor,
That would be the greatest way for him to leave of all time.
and then he'll be a coach after that.
And then they'll just from the floor, they just raise it right up to the rafters.
Oh, hell yeah.
They just go, yep, we're good.
Well,
Is that all you got?
I've got one
Just go
more
for 'em.
ish.
Go for it.
So,
'Cause I'm out.
Billy Donovan is some character archetype that is doing something completely cool the entire time, but no one actually knows about it. But it turns out it's super awesome and useful, and everyone should just shut the fuck up.
I like it.
100%.
Turns
let's
out he
fire
was
Billy
right all
Donovan.
along. Good. Is that it?
I think that's all we got.
All right.
That's for the newest Mobs Minute.
That was
And if
good.
you haven't seen Star Wars yet, go see it. And if you have any of your own player to Star Wars characters or Star Wars archetypes,
Non-spoilers.
well, if you're tweeting them directly at us, I think you can tweet spoilers. That'd be okay.
don't
Yeah,
know.
that's
I don't
still
know.
public though.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay,
if
don't be that
DM
dickhead.
us.
If
the
you're,
spoilers.
yeah, I was gonna say if you're gonna put spoilers in there, DM us. Like,
If they're
that'd be really cool.
spoiler free,
Slide in them DMs.
tweet it at us, and we will definitely retweet those. We want to hear what you guys have.
Agreed.
Try
you
and
guys,
focus on 4, 5, and 6.
You guys want to get some Twitter questions
Let's
now?
do it.
Go. Tweet, 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 tweet. Oh,
Here we go.
Dude, this one's a
All right.
banger.
Yeah.
Let's start off real quick with just some fun ones. So from Kerry Cicero at Cis66.
Oh, I see what you did there. You little Satan worshiper.
What's your go-to non-sports podcast?
For me, I love the Pete Holmes "You Made It Weird" podcast. It's very, very good. It's pretty weird. You kind of got to deal with Pete's got a pretty amazing laugh. Like he laughs at everything, and it's very loud. And if you don't know the guy, it's pretty strange. But he always gets into some weird topics and talks about like what life is and stuff with some celebrities or like funny comedian people. So it's a great one. What do you got?
Nice. I'm gonna go real far down the nerd hole here.
Uh-oh.
You ready? I like to listen to a lot of live play Dungeons and Dragons podcasts. Just people playing Dungeons and Dragons.
They record the podcast
like they
while
just
they play.
hook up mics and you just listen to them because you don't gotta watch anything when people play D&D. It's just a
Oh,
shared story.
I have
so
no idea how it works, so I'm gonna.
We're gonna get you on a podcast one time. We're gonna play.
All right,
I'm down with that.
I'll do it.
My go-to is actually just NPR's Serial.
Ooh.
The stories are always really cool.
Although,
I've heard a bunch about it, never listened to
Yeah,
it.
before
you
you
should.
jump on to the next one, my girlfriend listens to this one where they drink martinis and get drunk while talking about murder stories. And
Yeah.
I've listened to a few of those, and they're pretty damn
That
creepy.
sounds like a great podcast.
So from Russell Tripp Dubbrook at JHickness9.
Shout out Justin.
You seem bummed for some
Yeah,
reason.
no, I'm pissed off at Justin on this one. Can't wait until the magic of us winning a chip is tied solely to at Thundertie's willingness to shave the beard off. It's not fucking happening.
Let me tell you something. I don't think his beard can get shaved off. When you take the razor to it, the razor breaks.
That does seem like something
Yeah.
that would happen.
Well, if you really want to do this, you start a GoFundMe.
Ooh, get him some money to shave
I
it
will-
off.
I
I'll
will-
be down for that.
What's your price limit?
GoFundMe, $1,000. I will donate 85% to charity. A
Wow.
charity of some sort of choosing if we win the NBA championship.
So we got to win a chip, and you have to get $1,000 on GoFundMe.
Uh-huh.
At which point you will shave the beard. You'll keep $150, and $850 goes to charity.
Yep.
I think that's fair.
All right.
So that's
I like
all.
it.
That's all on you, Justin. From
Get-
another Justin.
Get
to
that
you.
money, bruh.
From Jesse Edgar at OK Computer Guy. Do you think they have an open casket for Jonas Valanciunas after Adams' dunk last Wednesday?
You can't have an open casket for that. That
Yeah,
body's mutilated, buddy.
Too bad.
That's got to be cremation, bro.
From Clark Matthews at Clark Matthews. How
Shout
bad
out Clark
will,
Matthews.
How bad will it be when Adams decides he's run out of F's to give and wails on a dude?
That's going to be a bad day for that dude.
Yeah.
I can tell you that.
Malice in the Palace is going to look like a preschool.
You know, I really think that Steven Adams, like, he's so composed, he's not going to do it.
I was about to say
But-
that same thing. I don't think that's ever going to happen.
But if it did,
if it did,
Oh, someone would die.
I think
Not
Steven
good.
Adams could legit kill somebody with just his fists.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you remember how, like, in Rocky, was that 3 or 4?
they all ran together.
Where Drogo killed, I can't remember his character's
Oh.
name, but killed him with
The
one
guy.
punch. Yeah,
Yeah.
Apollo.
Yeah, that's
Apollo
it.
Creed.
Apollo Creed.
Yeah, kills him with one punch. That's what Steven Adams would do.
Yeah,
I feel like Steven Adams could punch through somebody.
might happen.
It's like his fist just comes out
God.
the backside.
That would be a frightening thing to see.
From Michael Cage Headphone Skin.
I love that. I love
At
that
the
name
Brody
so much.
2020, can we get a petition for a new commentary team because it's nasty? I want to beat my head against the
That's
wall.
nasty.
Dude, I
I-
can't stand Michael Cage.
I
man.
love Brian Davis though.
I can
love
deal
Brian
with
Davis.
Brian Davis.
And I want Antonio Daniels.
Dude, I would donate so much money to get Antonio Daniels on the play-by-play.
I don't have the money to donate, but
I'd start a
Petition.
GoFundMe.
It's funny though because when you listen to Michael Cage outside of the broadcast, he's actually super knowledgeable and like really
super nice guy too. I ran
really
into
nice
him
to-
at the bar the other day.
Oh really?
Yeah,
That's cool.
At the Jack Daniels bar in the arena. He's just super nice. Also enormously tall,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt it.
obviously.
Let's get into some real stuff.
Yeah,
From
let's get these real
Thunderous
questions going.
Obstinacy at OKC Obstinacy. How much does Adams and Dre's offensive rebounding, excuse me. How much does Adams and Dre's offensive rebounding mean for this team? Has Melo's willingness to be a screen setter opened up the offense? So two different questions.
A lot and yes.
Yeah, I think they've been huge. Especially so last night you go to Adams gets in foul trouble. Dre comes out and is our rebounder all of a sudden and does incredible at it. Like, it's just, it kind of goes back to my little Star Wars thing about him. He just does the dirty work all the time.
And Adams
whatever needs to be done.
can snag offensive rebounds and kick them back out to reset a possession. He can tip balls in. Or as we saw last night, he can grab an offensive rebound, post up, and wait for somebody to cut and throw a beautiful
that
little
pass
dime
was
to PG.
nasty.
You know what I'm going to say, partner? That's nasty.
Okay, we got two that kind of go together from Rafa at Thost and from Zach Weber 33 at Z Avalanche 33.
Hey, he's got a 33 in his name.
Safe to say Billy Donovan's job is safe now, and we firing Billy still, right?
Yeah, so I think we're not doing that.
I think that ship has sailed, guys.
Clear sarcasm.
You just
right? Yeah,
you just wait
that's-
until we lose a game. Those people are going to be right back at it.
Dude, they're sitting there at the keyboard just
God.
chomping at the bit.
Damn it. From Barry McCockner at Thunderbucket 7. A lot of the talk has been around PG's defense, but how realistic would it be for Dre to make first-team defense?
Since Dre will be considered a guard on this year's defensive, like all defensive team voting, I think Dre will have a legit shot at it. And a bunch of people are talking Kevin Durant for Defensive Player of the Year right now, and he has been playing good defense. But I think Paul George has to be in that conversation right now.
He's definitely in the conversation. For sure.
I think Dre and PG could both probably end up on the all-defensive team. And especially with Kawhi being out for so long, PG could probably make it. But Dre as a guard, I think he'll make it.
Well, and I mean, he made second team last year when he probably should have been first team, but it was because he was a small forward.
Yeah,
so
he was a forward.
it hurt him.
with
I think
Draymond
this year he should make it, especially the way he's been playing. Like, I mean, just look at the last two games, but he's been doing this all year. Maybe not at the very start because he looked a little sloppy, but the longer this goes on, I think that case just gets built more.
One thing that really always hurts Dre, though, is that he's not a stat sheet filler on the defensive side, which I think definitely hurts him.
And I think that Dre being like that, and especially guarding the best player on the other team, has allowed Paul George to be a stat sheet filler on the defensive end. With all those deflections and steals, I think a lot of that comes from Dre's defense.
So from Philippe Costa at Costa Philippe, do you guys see the improvement of the team lately as more of a Russell thing or as a team thing?
I think we touched on this quite a bit in our
we
main
did.
conversation.
But yeah, obviously, I think it's a combination of both. But Russell's shot and falling, and him being the Russell Beastbrook that we know has helped out a lot. So.
From Dustin Glover at Fat Glove, where does Adams rank among centers? He has his way with most of the league's bigs.
I think he's firmly in top 10. I would maybe go top 7.
Yeah, for sure.
I think you still got to take guys like Boogie.
Yeah, you got
over
Boogie,
him.
Anthony Davis. I
guess
he's
you
a
can
center. And, I mean, you've got Kristaps. I don't know if he's
yeah.
he's
You
more
got
of a four.
Karl Anthony Towns,
Drummond is
Whiteside.
still up there. Whiteside.
I think guys like Drummond and I just went blank. The guy out there for the Clippers, DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah,
DJ.
Yeah,
I think Drummond and DJ. I think Adams is in the same conversation as those. I think all three of those are interchangeable. I think Adams might slowly start separating himself, especially youth considered.
Yeah, I mean that's a big part of that too. I mean Drummond is still super young though. Like
Yeah,
he's only like 20. He's younger than Adams, I think.
Oh, is he?
I feel like he is. I don't know off like top of my head what his age is, but I just remember him being super young. But yeah, I mean I think he's definitely climbing his way up there, but he's in the top 10 for sure.
From Jared White at Jared KW13, how do y'all feel about the images of Russ's new signature shoe? Have you guys seen them?
I've just seen them briefly.
Yeah, I mean they're okay.
They're nothing flashy from what I saw.
There weren't anything incredible, but I guess also I heard somewhere, I can't remember where, but I saw somewhere that I guess these are just the Russ's like player edition of this Jordan shoe. So it's not necessarily his
Right.
specific signature. So I think he's going to have his own shoe that comes out on top
very
of these, but I'm not positive for that. I just saw it somewhere. So
Speaking of shoes, for Christmas I got a pair of PG ones to play pickup in. Those things are nice, man.
That's cool.
They are some nice shoes.
Dude,
jealous.
I don't know if you guys saw the colorway that PG was wearing last night, but they were fucking sweet.
I don't remember.
It was all white with just thunder colors like down on the outsole.
Nice.
It was really sweet. From Giviera Nascimento at GV Nascimento, who's the sixth man right now?
Ray?
It's got to be Ray, right?
I think Ray's. I mean,
or
bring,
Jeremy Grant.
They bring Grant in
Yeah.
as the sixth man technically.
They have been bringing Houston in a little bit as the first guy off the bench a little bit. But
Yeah.
I don't know if this team has a true sixth man.
Yeah.
It wouldn't really be a Billy Donovan team with a true six man. Like it's
a good point.
It's all like depending on the
tinkering too
night.
much.
Yeah, depending on the night, you're gonna have someone different. From Carter Bradford at C to the Bradford, what's been more impressive, Thunder being one of the top teams defensively or starting to be able to outscore teams offensively?
More impressive, I'm going to go the defense. I
Yeah.
think at the beginning of the year, we all thought this team would click offensively. And
We were wrong.
We hoped they'd be really good defense. Age-old cliche that defense wins championships. This team can straight lock up. It won them the game against Houston.
Yeah. I mean,
It's won them other games and their offense couldn't do anything. This team legit is a defensive monster that I don't think the best teams in the league want to go up with in a 7-game series.
I agree. I mean, I think we talked a lot about about defense this pod, but I don't know if we gave it enough attention because it was so incredible these last 2 games.
Yep.
I mean, like we were talking about, PG, Robertson, always have been incredible this season, but especially lately they've taken it to another level. And then Russ stepping up his defense, like we talked about, it's been huge. So. And I think they're starting to play really good team defense, which is something they weren't doing earlier. So that's nice.
And this team's got so many elite defensive players. Paul George, Andre Robertson, Steven Adams. I would put probably top 4 defensive centers in the league. You know, Russell Westbrook locked in on defense is a top-tier point guard defender.
Yeah.
This team is nasty defensively.
That's nasty.
And fuck Paul George. Or not Paul George, Chris Paul.
I was like, wow.
What?
Wow.
Holy shit.
Fuck Chris Paul.
We'll pretend that didn't happen and say fuck Chris Paul.
Yeah,
and
fuck
I
Chris
agree.
Paul.
I agree.
That was my bad.
I don't like him.
My mom did that earlier, actually. Bobby Cortez at
She
BC
fucked Chris
Sniper.
Paul?
7.
Sorry.
How dare you?
That was offensive.
What's a bigger bench need? A backup center that can defend at the rim
Yes.
and rebound, or another playmaker that can create?
I'm gonna go
That's
center.
tough.
I'm gonna go center
That's a tough one.
because when Chris or God, now you got everybody
I
just
know,
saying
right?
Chris
Yeah,
Paul.
that's my bad.
When Adams gets in foul trouble like you saw last night, I mean, I think we can kind of make it work well enough, but there might be some times we really need somebody that can step in and be that backup big. And I think the more this bench plays together, I think they're going to get it. I don't know necessarily if that's going to happen with PG in the lineup, but hopefully it will.
That's a really tough question. I think both are probably equally needed. I think this team needs one really solid bench guy to really, really have a shot at a title this year. And
You saying we're not winning that chip? I don't want to hop over this table.
I'm saying they just need one more guy. The trade deadline's coming up.
yeah. Okay.
And the buyout season.
You know, I'm starting to disagree with Jason on this one. I'm starting to think that, well, okay, you've got so many teams that are running small.
Right.
I think
That's
this is
the
a team where
argument against
you've got plenty of guys on this roster that can run small, even with Steven Adams being your only guy. So just let Steven Adams be the
Pat
guy.
showed a lot against the Sixers.
I
And Pat
think-
can run.
I think the thing is when you get to the playoffs, you can survive with Patterson and Grant combining for 12 minutes at center per game.
I agree.
You probably can.
I
I like
think-
how I'm arguing against my own point.
And
That's
I
fun.
think we've noticed that, especially with the bench production, like, you know, you talk about Abrinas, having another playmaker, I think that makes the bench so much better.
Yeah, I like it. All right. Well, cool, guys. That's not the right thing I was going to do. All right.
There it is.
That's all. So thanks for listening. Follow us on Twitter at OKC Thunderheads. Justin is at ThunderTie. Jacob here is at ThunderMob405.
Yes, sir.
I closed my thing, but we're also on Spotify now. So
That's really exciting.
that's pretty fun stuff. So go find us. Just search Thunderheads, and we'll be on there. We're on SoundCloud, Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes. Give us a review on iTunes. That'd be pretty sweet.
That'd be cool.
I don't remember all the other stuff that's on there. But,
Give us a review on iTunes and then screenshot it and send it to me, and I will hype you up on Twitter like no one's business.
We've got a
And-
website, too.
If you have a particular size shirt, we might send you a shirt. But if you're too small, we might not. So thanks for listening. And as always, Thunder up. And we're doing the wave thing.
Yeah, I thought that was new.
It's a new thing we're
I
doing.
thought